everyone, Danielle here with a little video for you. This is going to be the first one in our new series, and I had gotten a couple requests actually to do a video about paper piecing. And so it's a pretty simple concept, but I thought I would just go ahead and show you how I go about paper piecing, especially a more detailed image, because you can really do a lot of layering when you paper piece to get some really neat dimension and effects in your stamping. And so I'm just going to go ahead and get started, and I actually kind of started ahead of time so that my stamping would have time to dry. I'm going to be using this stamp from Hero Arts. It's called Artist Butterfly, and if you know me, you know I love my butterflies, so this is one of my favorite butterfly stamps ever. And so I'm going to go ahead and use that, and I'm going to use my VersaFine Onyx Black ink. That is my preferred black ink of choice unless I'm doing coloring. And I already went ahead and stamped my butterfly a couple times. I'm going to be using two different colors of paper, this really pretty golden yellow, and then this really nice fun kind of teal blue polka dot pattern paper. And they both came from an older paper set, Fine and Dandy, and it's by my Mind's Eye, and I know that it's older. I don't know that I've seen it online for purchase, but I actually got this fairly recently at my AC Moore. It seems like they carry older pads of this My Mind's Eye paper, and so this was one of the ones I snatched up when they had them on sale for like $2. That's where I got the paper from, but obviously you can do it with any paper you want. And because I used the VersaFine, I did just want to give it some time. I went ahead and stamped it ahead of time so that these would have time to dry, because sometimes if I stamp with it and then get into cutting right away, it will smear, kind of smear the ink a little bit. And I didn't do it on purpose, but my nail polish happens to coordinate very nicely with the paper that I chose. I'm going to be using my Cutter Bee scissors by EK Success, and these are my favorite scissors for doing my fussy cutting. But I'm going to do a little disclaimer now and say that I am in desperate need of a new pair of scissors. My blades have gotten pretty dull, so if you see me struggling to cut or not getting as clean a line, it's not the scissors' fault. It's my fault for not getting a new pair of scissors sooner. So you're probably wondering why I have it stamped 4 times. You could certainly stamp it once and just cut that out, and it would look really beautiful just the way it was. But I like to do some layering and add some different colors and things like that when I paper piece, and so I'm just going to go ahead and make it more complicated pretty much. So what I'm going to do now is just start cutting, and I'm going to fast forward through a majority of the cutting, and I'll stop and explain things as I see fit. So I'm going to do blue and yellow, and I'm just going to go ahead and get started. And I know that I want a majority of the butterfly to be, I'm trying to decide, I still haven't really decided. I think I want a majority of the butterfly to be this darker blue, so the bigger portion. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to set these ones aside, and I'm just going to get to cutting out my blue butterfly.
One little tip I have when you are cutting like this is to actually try to hold your scissors in place and rotate or turn the paper around your scissors rather than constantly moving your scissors around. It seems like you just get a much smoother cut, especially on an image like this where there are a lot of rounded edges. It just seems to give me much better results when I hold my scissors still and turn my paper around them instead.
Okay, and so there we have what I'll say is going to be the base of the butterfly. And I always like to cut out a second one just in case I change my mind or I mess up. It's a lot easier, than having to get my stamp back out and redo it again. And so I got my base cut out, and these more inner portions of the wings, I've decided that I would really like to do them in yellow, in this really pretty yellow. And the same thing, I stamped 2. I don't know if I'll really need them both, but I went ahead and did it just so that I had them in case I did. I don't have to worry about restamping them, taking the time to get the stamp back out and do it again. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut out these more inner portions of the wings, and I'm trying to decide if I really want to take the time to kind of really fussy cut those teeny tiny little half circles that are around the edge. And I think that I am going, you know, I think I will do it. So it'll take a little longer, but I think it'll look nice in the long run. So I'm going to cut it in half, and I'm just going to get to cutting out these, and I'm going to cut these out too, these loops down here. So I'll start with those since they're a little bit smaller. And here's a tip. I usually try to cut the whole, you want to cut on the outside of the black line. So whatever you're going to cut out, like I'm going to cut out this portion here, I want to make sure to include the black line. I don't want to cut on the inside of the wing. I want to cut along the outer line here. It'll just give it kind of a cleaner look, at least in my opinion. And I'm just going to go around and do that. So I don't know if you can see it, but I didn't get quite close enough to the black line, just because it was a pretty tight space, and you can go back in and trim it up. Like here it's a little jagged, so I'm going to go back in and clean it up a little bit. But for areas that you get close and you just don't quite get close enough, and it might be too hard to go back in with your scissors to clean it up, it's really handy to have one of these Memento Tuxedo black markers. You can take the broader tip, or even if you want, you can take the finer tip. And sometimes I like to use the fine tip. Sometimes with the broad tip, the ink just bleeds onto my paper too much, especially if I have a real fine line that I want to trace. And I'll just take this fine pen tip and I'll just go right around the edges. And you can see, like, I'll use this as an example. Hopefully you can see it well enough. There's some yellow there, and I could, with this particular one, actually take my scissors and snip it off, but just for the sake of showing you, I'm just going to go in with my marker, and normally I would lay this probably flat and get my face all up real close, but you wouldn't be able to see that. But I'm just going to take my marker and go ahead and fill that in, and it'll darken the line. And you can see right here I missed some too. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll go around the edges of these little half circles and just kind of clean them up a little. It gives it just a more finished appearance. And like I said, I know a lot of people use the other end of the marker, but it's so big, and sometimes I feel like it just bleeds. It actually bleeds more onto my stamped image. So I prefer to use the finer pen tip, and it works just as well. And I have a little bit more control. Maybe I'm just too heavy-handed, I don't know. So that's that, and then what we'll do is I'm going to go ahead and, after I finish cutting everything else out, I'll show you how I'm going to lay the pieces down. So I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to keep cutting and cutting and cutting. Alright, so I have all of my pieces cut out. I never said it was going to be fast. And now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just glue them on. And I'm trying to figure out what I want to do as far as what adhesive to use. You could certainly use, I could use my ATG gun, which I might do, or I could use Glossy Accents. But I think that for this particular one, I'm going to excuse me, I'm going to use my Tombow Mono Multi Liquid Glue. Just because it has a really fine tip and I will be able to get some glue pretty evenly and not too globby on the body and on these smaller portions of the wings. And the other thing is that a lot of times when I do lining like this, I don't necessarily like to have the whole thing pieced flat. I almost like to give it a little bit more dimension by kind of leaving the edges of the wings curled up. So that's kind of what I'm going to do, and I'll just go ahead really quickly and put some glue on here. And like I said, I'm not going to worry about getting it like all the way to the edges of the wings, because I do kind of like to leave them so that they can kind of lift up a little bit and give it a little dimension. And then you're just going to line it up with the best you can with where the pattern falls on your base, kind of on that base piece. And I'll go ahead and do the same for the other pieces. I just take some glue and then I kind of just drag it and spread it around with the tip of the applicator. And I'll do the same over here. And then I'm going to do the body, because that's going to be a little bit harder, but you're just going to be careful not to squeeze on too much. And then I'll put a little on the wing. And this butterfly does have antennae, I don't know. But, you know, it's really hard to cut those out, so I'm just going to actually, on my finished card, I'll stamp the butterfly once, and then I'll lay this paper piece portion on top. Okay, and I'll do the last little portion of the wing. Now, I didn't realize until the last minute that I wanted the body to be yellow as well. If I had thought about and planned ahead of time, which I'm not really that great at doing when it comes to card making, but if I had planned ahead, I would have cut out that whole section, the body and the two lower portions of the wing, as one piece, and that would have saved me time. But I didn't realize until after I'd cut everything out that I realized that was, you know, kind of what I wanted to do. So that's that. So you let that dry, and it's really pretty the way that it is, but I kind of just wanted to add something a little more. So I think I'm going to take my Signo Uniball white gel pen, and I'm just going to go in and add some white highlights to some of the parts of this butterfly, just to kind of add a little more to it. So I think I want to do white around the space and the edges of the wings, and I'm just going to be really careful because I don't really want to cover up the black stamped portion. So I'm just going to be really careful about it. And if I do happen to, you know, cover up some of the stamped part, I'll just go back over it with my marker to touch up any areas that are really bad. So I just went ahead with my white pen and kind of filled in a few of the parts that I thought, you know, I thought could use it. And then I just went back with my Memento marker around some of the areas where I thought there was like a little bit too much white on the line. And I just went back and kind of touched it up, you know, touched it up a little bit. And it's not going to be, you know, I know that it's not perfect, and I'm okay with that, because I think that the white really just added, you know, added something to the butterfly, just a little bit more dimension. And I'm going to actually put it on a card with some wood grain background. So hopefully you'll like it, and I hope you were able to pick something up today about paper piecing, and if not paper piecing, maybe how you can, you know, alter the look of a stamped image on pattern paper by simply using some of your markers. You certainly could have, instead of white, gone in with you know, a colored marker or black to add some accents to it. So you can really do a whole lot with paper piecing and a simple white gel pen. So hopefully you learned something, and I will see you guys later this week. Bye.